Welcome to Passion for the Pastime, where baseball lives 24/7, 365. Catch conversations with beat writers, broadcasters, current and former players of all levels. Now here's your host,
Walter Balsetta. Whoops, I fumbled. I got to get out of here.
Walter Balsetta.
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Passion for the Pastime. We are here. AJ, I see you in the chat, and yes, that did sound weird, dude. Your passion is growing with every episode. I don't know what you meant by that, bro. I don't know what exactly. 415 West, pause on AJ. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to Passion for the Pastime. My cat just took a deuce right as the open was. I think my cat has timed the podcast to where every time I sit down in this chair that she just needs to let one loose. So I'm watching it as I speak. I was gonna get up and get this going, but I do have Jack Loder about to jump in here, so I might ask him a question and take care of the cat business on the other side. But you guys, welcome in to Passion for the Pastime. It is a fun Tuesday, a super Tuesday, with the ballots being unveiled for the class of 2025 for the Hall of Fame. We'll get talking on that, and of course, we will talk some Giants baseball. But welcome in, everybody. Passion for the Pastime. My name is Walter Balsetta. If you don't know me by now, and if you're new to the channel, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Currently work at KNBR and huge Giants fan. This podcast started back in 2018 in the audio form, and we finally brought it to YouTube. Going into the winter meetings of this past season, or this off season, about a month ago. So we are good to go here on Passion for the Pastime on YouTube. Just about a month in, we got 100 subscribers. It's going to tell you guys about a contest that I'm going to be, or a giveaway rather. You got to be very, very specific on the verbiage of what you're running. But it's going to be a giveaway. I'm going to give away something for the subscribers here. I'll let you guys know what that is moving forward. Otis, what's up, everybody? AJ Cruz, Lori Galvin in there. Otis Bird, 415 West. I see you guys in here, and thank you all for stopping by. Again, the diehards for Passion for the Pastime. But as I mentioned, I do have a guest scheduled for today. We're going to get into the Hall of Fame ballot to start off things. But Jack Loder, I mean, he's a huge baseball head every time that he's in the bullpen. When he can talk, when he doesn't lose a bet to Derek Papa. It's great knowledge. It's great knowledge with Jack Loder, so I'm excited to talk some baseball, Giants baseball, but just baseball in general with my guy Jack Loder of KNBR. I guess I'll ask him when I bring him in here. I was gonna say if I can disclose your claim to fame, my guy. But what is up, Loder Management? What's up, Jack? How you doing, bro?
What's up, Walt? It's about time. It's an honor to finally be on the airwaves for PFTP.
Hell yeah, dude. No, it's been a long time coming. You know, I hear you clearing up your chops a little bit there in the bullpen, but dude, I love talking ball with you. So I'm glad that you have the time to join me today, dude. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm addicted to talking ball. So whenever I can do it in a more formal setting, I'm gonna take advantage of that.
Hell yeah, dude. Real quick, can I disclose your claim to fame from KNBR, or is that a touchy subject for you?
I don't even know what you're talking about, so I'm a little nervous.
Well, you know the signing with the future Hall of Famer, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of your claim to fame, right?
The Verlander post.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let the people hear it. I'm gonna stand.
All right.
I'm gonna stick by my guns.
All right, so everybody that doesn't know, Jack Loder works behind the scenes in the digital department, and he did put out the post of what was the verbiage? It was pretty much looking forward to making new memories or something like that, or remember this. What was that? I don't want to misquote it.
The verbiage was where it probably was a bit of a misstep, and I'm not afraid to miss. I've missed before. I'll miss again.
Sure. Yeah.
But the verbiage came off a little snarkier than I had intended, and I think then Michael Connell and Mike Holler, who both approved the post, just by the way.
Gotta throw that out there.
Well.
Yeah, throw them under the bus. 100%. Yeah.
If I'm going down, they're going down with me. The verbiage basically said, "Hey, welcome to the Bay, Justin. Welcome to the Giants. we hope that you're ready to make better memories than your most famous moment in San Francisco, which was obviously giving up 2 home runs to Pablo Sandoval in game 1 of the 2012 World Series, 2 of the 3 he hit that game.
Yep.
It was poking fun at him, but it was also genuine. Like, hey, like, you're a legend. Now you're part of the Giants. And we do hope that you're looking forward to making better memories, because it really is only uphill from here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was a great post. I gotta salute you, because all Giants fans thought of that. Like you weren't the first one to think of it. You just had you just had the fingers, you had the guts to put it out there. So I applaud you, Jack. I applaud you for doing that.
I was the one wielding the sword, and with the sword with great power comes great responsibility. And like I said, I've missed before and I'll miss again.
Yeah, dude, 100%. That's the life of working in digital nowadays. But yeah, man, it was funny because I remember that post because I was talking with Jeff Young of around the Foghorn. Right. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago.
Giants follow.
Yeah, and we were talking about Justin Verlander. It was pretty much the week that it happened. And I liked his post. He kind of took it a step further. He was like, well, if Justin Verlander wears number 48, it'd be the first ever father-son duo to wear the same number for the same organization. I was like, dude, that's way worse than what you said.
I was nicer than him.
Yeah, dude, 100%. But no, Jack, thank you for stopping by, man. It's going to be a fun chat here, talking some Giants baseball. But before we get into that, I mean, kind of that segue with Justin Verlander, we'll talk about his induction at some point when he hangs up the cleats. But today, I mean, we get the 3 nominees or the 3 inductees of the 2025 Hall of Fame class with Ichiro and CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner, right? So let's just start with the obvious, right? Ichiro. You're looking at him, and I know that you're a little younger than me, but I know you know ball. So when you saw Ichiro coming up, I mean, everybody knew he was a freaking Hall of Famer. But what gives? Who the hell was the one guy that didn't vote for Ichiro to make him unanimous?
It really is astonishing, because you think about, like, if there were 10 people, maybe 15 people who didn't vote for Ichiro, then you're like, that's not that much of an anomaly. We still think he should have been unanimous, but at least there's a handful of people. When it's one person, like, you just know that person was being vindictive and maybe hoping that other people would do the same thing, and it would be 3, 4, 5 people. But, like, there really is no argument against Ichiro for the Hall of Fame, and hopefully this person votes next year and he's unanimous as on his second year on the ballot. But when you think of Ichiro Suzuki, you think just the quintessential hitter, a bit of a dying breed in today's game, just someone who is an absolute singles dominant hitter. You think of like Tony Gwynn as really the only couple guys in that category ever. But Ichiro, maybe one of the best, if not the best, foreign-born player in the history of baseball. I was talking about that in the bullpen today with Michael Connell, and he brought that up. He posed that question, and I'm thinking of all the Dominican, Latin American-born players that play the game. I'm like, no way. But then we really only landed on Albert Pujols as a foreign-born player who we'd probably say, okay, 10 out of 10 times he's better than Ichiro. After that, when it comes to hitters especially, Ichiro is perhaps the best non-American player, and he only got to the major leagues when he was 27 after playing professionally for a number of years in Japan. Who knows what his numbers could have been like if he came over at a more normal age, 22, 23.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting too, because Copes, when he came in towards the the crossover time between the end of Papa and Silver and the start of Dirty Work, they congregate at my desk, as you know. Really quick, had to shout out Tacky. He said, "Loder, I just met her." Just got to throw that out there. Yeah, it's not the first time.
Actually what Copes said when I was interviewing at KNBR. I was super nervous on the interview, and Copes was PD at the time during his tenure, and he first thing he said once he hopped into the Zoom room was, "Loder, I barely know her," and it loosened me up a little bit.
Dude, yeah, an interview with Copes, that is that is one in a million. You'll never have that type of job interview ever again. But no, that's incredible. But when they were congregating at my desk, right, Copes him and Derek were going back and forth, and I'm just in the middle of it, of their Dirty Work sandwich, and they were pretty much talking about, they kind of asked the same question, in that, is he the best international born player and we're talking both sides of the ball, right? We're talking pitching and hitting. I think that where you're going is if we're looking at it, I would probably. I mean, are we already going to say Shohei Ohtani has reached that level of being that type of player? Like,
I think he's certainly on track to become the best ever international player, probably best ever overall player.
Right. So just
now
eliminating Shohei, saying that because his, we still have to see his resume play out, his
Right,
career. There's plenty of years. So eliminating Shohei, the only position players that I can think of that was better than Ichiro that I would put it up there with is Roberto Clemente. You got to have that guy up there. That's one of the best to have ever played the game of baseball. And as far as impact, like, I mean, he started the wave with all of the Puerto Rican players, right? So that's kind of the same sense of what Ichiro meant for Japanese born players at that time. Or position players rather. And then outside of that, as you mentioned, Albert Pujols. I mean, outside of that, position players, I don't know if there's anyone else that's really up there that with the likes of Ichiro. I mean, do we want to go like Miggy Cabrera? Like, are we going Miguel Cabrera?
Miguel Cabrera, David Ortiz, Carlos Beltran kind of populate. Maybe Adrian Beltre kind of populate that tier below.
Yeah. So like when you're looking at international born players, and now we're looking at both sides of the thing, I still think that he's on the higher side of a top 10. But I said, yeah, he's probably top 10 as far as international players, because when you look to pitchers, right? I mean, you got Pedro, you got Mariano Rivera, the only guy to be voted in unanimously into the Hall of Fame, which is still bizarre. Like Ichiro should be in there unanimously. I thought that was going to happen. I'm just shocked that didn't happen. But you got Mariano Rivera, you got Pedro Martinez. You also have Juan Marichal, I mean, that you can throw in there as well.
Yeah,
so then now you're starting to round out like a top 10, but he's comfortably, I would say, like a 4 or a 5, like in the best. And when you're comparing both hitters and pitchers,
Ichiro's comfortably in the top 10, regardless of hitter or pitcher. He deserves his flowers for that. And like I said, Pujols, maybe Miggy Cabrera, but I think he's top 3 with those guys.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, so Ichiro gets in. He doesn't get the unanimous bid, which, I mean, who really cares? I mean, maybe that's more of a fan thing. Like, if you get in unanimously, the fact is that you get in, right? I mean, Billy Wagner was going on year 10. He almost didn't get in.
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, dude. So you got someone getting in there, first ballot, almost got in unanimously, and then you look at Billy Wagner, where he's been on it for 10 years. This was his final year of eligibility before he goes to the modern era committee, right? To get in eventually at some point. The Veterans Committee. So looking at Billy Wagner, I mean, are you of the belief, because I know we've been having these conversations in the bullpen also, are you of the belief, if you're not a first ballot or not even a first ballot, if you're not voted in, or if someone's not voting for you the first 4 or 5 times, like, I mean, what's going to change? The stats don't change, like to keep going into the years as it progresses. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked that he got in 10th year, because he just barely missed it last year. I think he was at like 73% or something like that.
To get in.
Yeah. So, I mean, but great for him to get in, but do you believe, like, is 10 years too long to be kept on the ballot, or is that kind of a good landing spot for some of these guys trying to get into the Hall?
I think the year in which a player is voted in, how long they last on the ballot is a classification that kind of exists for fans and for media members to almost put Hall of Fame members in tiers. I think to the players who are in there, once you're in there, whether it's Billy Wagner with 80% at his 10th year, or it's Mariano Rivera, Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro with unanimous or near unanimous on the first year, once you're in there, you're wearing that jacket, like you're in that fraternity. So I think it really does exist for fans and media members to arbitrarily, if you will, kind of classify these guys. In Billy Wagner's case, I think he's the perfect case of like a fringe Hall of Famer who I'm glad got in. If it were up to me, I'd have the gates a little wider. I'm a nerd at the game's history. I wanted to see more fringe guys kind of get in there. And when you think of Billy Wagner, I always look at player reactions, like both existing Hall of Famers and players who played in the same time as this guy, faced this guy, how they react. And players all over the game today who played in the 90s and into the 2000s against and with Billy Wagner were stoked that he got in. I think it's a story of perseverance. He had the arm breaks. I think there's a little bit of ambidextrous pitching in his past too. So for him to get on the mound, become a dominant, incredibly hard throwing closer. He was one of the earlier just absolute country hardball closers in the game to just get on the mound and say your one job is to throw absolute gas with the four-seam fastball and live on that. And he was feared. He was genuinely feared by major league hitters. And I think if that's not the definition of a Hall of Famer, what is?
Yeah, I mean, Billy Wagner getting into the Hall of Fame, and that's kind of like the next question, the next tier, because I mean, you talk about like Murph was talking about it this morning. Oh, he's not a first ballot. He's not a first ballot guy. Maybe he's a second ballot guy, right? And then that's where you kind of get into it with the fans and with the media. We're talking about creating tiers of a Hall of Famer, like how just how good were they? Like, was Carlos Beltran worthy of a first ballot? Maybe not, but he's going to probably get in next year, right? He's going to get in next year because I think he came up to like 70% or something like that. So it is a way to separate, to classify, like you mentioned, the relevance or the tier of the Hall of Famer based on when they do get ultimately voted in. With CC Sabathia getting in, Bay Area own.
Shout out Bay Area, Vallejo.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Shout out Bay Area for CC. He gets into the Hall of Fame, and you look at his numbers, and I know a lot of people were saying like, not necessarily this year, but there was a conversation like when he retired is like, did he perform at a Hall of Fame level? And I think like pitchers nowadays, do they reach anywhere near what CC accomplished? Like we're talking 250 wins. I think it was at 251, right? I think that's what the number was for his wins, but 3,000 Ks, dude. I think that's a dying breed of a pitcher. I don't think anybody nowadays is going to be able to reach the CC level. So is that kind of the tier that we're looking at as far as the goalposts moving a little bit when you look at the Hall of Fame going forward?
200 wins is the new 300 wins. Like if we're like if CC Sabathia existed 50 years ago in Major League Baseball, he'd have won 350 games, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. For him to have the longevity he did, the physicality he had as a pitcher too, a guy who was incredibly durable, also pretty fastball dependent, but he also had an incredible three-pitch mix. And the way he kind of performed for multiple franchises, it didn't matter if he was traded midseason, where he ended up, he balled out, and he was a great pennant race and postseason pitcher. So I think CC Sabathia, obviously very deserving Hall of Famer. He's a guy who I think deserves to be in on that first ballot too. You can't really tell the history of 21st century baseball without mentioning CC Sabathia.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going with the next question as we get into before we get into Justin Verlander, because I mean you can't really tell that story, this generation of when we grew up, right, watching just stellar pitching and the guys that you look to and the guys that you gravitate to for our time frame is Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, CC Sabathia. Like those are those type of guys. But someone that's getting
Timmy for a little bit there.
What was that?
Timmy for a little bit there. I like to.
Oh yeah, Timmy for like the 5 years. Like it was the best 5 years that we would ever see.
Yeah, better peak than any of those guys.
Oh, dude, no, I know, and that's kind of another guy that he got enough votes to stay on the ballot, but he's kind of like a fringe and a similar class, I would say, maybe of Tim Lincecum when you look to King Felix, right? So I mean, he's somebody else that when I was watching, I felt like I was watching a Hall of Famer, like in his time when he was kind of in his dominance. But looking to like next year's first ballot, there's not really a lot of guys that are coming on that are noteworthy. But the one guy that I did see was Cole Hamels. But I don't think that he's a Hall of Famer. Like, you think that he's going to get in?
I don't know. I hate to write a guy off, but I would tend to think without his numbers in front of me that he is a tier or two below Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Very Good.
Hall of Very Good. Yeah, because I want to say that his career stat or his career wins, I think he was at like 160. 170 or something like that. So not the 200 range where you're looking at like the new Hall of Fame class when you look into this century. But all right, dude. Well, that's the Hall of Fame talk. We'll get away from that a little bit. But it was great to see Ichiro get in. I would have loved to see him get in there again. It's probably a fan thing, but love to see him get in there as a unanimous Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But someone that I think should maybe. I mean, at this point, you don't know who the hell. I don't know if we're ever going to get another unanimous Hall of Famer, but Justin Verlander might be pretty damn close to being a unanimous Hall of Famer when it all comes and it's said and done. I mean, especially if he's able to get to that 300 mark, and he puts on a Giants uni this year, as you well know. How do you think about Justin Verlander going into 2025?
First off, I actually absolutely think he has a chance to join Rivera. As just to lastly touch on the Hall of Fame thing, he could join Mariano as first ballot. There's no sane argument to keeping him off for even a year. So I'm not saying everyone in the BBWA is sane, but if they are, if
they're not as logical as you,
when they're voting, obviously Justin Verlander should be that first ballot. In terms of his presence and his signing with the Giants. I think it's a very, very low risk and, relatively low reward, but I think the move is worth it. It's not expensive. It's a 1-year deal. It shows a lot about his character that, at age 42, he's still betting on himself. He wants to pitch till he's 45. He talked pretty candidly in that intro presser about how frustrated he was with himself last season, with his preparation, with his ability to be available. I think it's something he takes a lot of pride in. And I think, obviously, barring uncontrollables, I do think he's going to put himself in a position to be very available for the Giants this year. And a guy who can eat innings. And on the intangible side of things, a guy who can be a real mentor for the Kyle Harrisons and the Hayden Birdsongs and even the Logan Webbs. We forget Logan Webb is on the younger – he's not a young guy per se, but he's definitely not an old man in baseball. So he can learn a thing or two from Justin Verlander. And I think – in a player coach kind of role on those, 4 days Justin Verlander is not starting, I think he can add tremendous value to the Giants in terms of experience, in terms of how you go about getting through a full season. We saw Kyle Harrison and Hayden Birdsong both struggle with career high innings limits, throwing the most innings they had in their life. Kyle Harrison's shoulder was limping down the stretch. He was throwing in the high 80s with the fastball. I think having the right people in his ear saying, hey, this is how you throw in March so that you can be throwing 95 in September, I think that's going to be completely invaluable. So I love the Verlander signing. I'm glad I didn't scare him off with my post. I'm glad he's still inked the deal with the Giants. I would have had a lot of questions to answer at that point. So I'm really happy to see Justin Verlander, whatever number he's wearing to, in orange and black.
Yeah, dude, that's another great point. I'll ask your opinion on the number 35 debacle, but that would have been a hell of a story, a hell of a headline, dude. If he's just like, I'm pulling out of San Francisco. I don't like their social media team over there.
I don't like the social media team on not the Giants, just a related.
A related entity within the organization.
Entity. But on the topic of 35, my knee-jerk
dude, how you feel about that? Yeah, go ahead.
My knee-jerk reaction was like, no, as like a diehard loyalist, obviously a Craw guy. But I've softened a little bit on it just because, and I've talked to some people who are equally as big Giants fans as you and me, and they kind of were saying like, look up at the numbers the Giants have retired.
Yep.
It is not a lot of people. It's Barry Bonds, barely Will Clark a few years ago, and then it's only Hall of Famers.
Right.
It's Willie Mays. It's, Orlando Cepeda, Willie McCovey, and so on, Mel Ott. And it's like Brandon Crawford, if that trend stays, is not getting his number retired. And you can't retire every, starting player who won one of the World Series because you run out of numbers. So you're not going to see Brandon Crawford up there. You're not going to see Brandon Belt up there. I understand with Crawford's number, he was recently a Giant. He just retired. But
sure,
I think as long as it's okay with Crawford, you can't really ask Verlander to not wear his number with the Giants. Like the fact that the Giants are so exclusive with what they retire, I think kind of says that argument for me. And I think Brandon Crawford would be the first guy to say, yeah, I'm not Barry Bonds. I'm not Willie Mays. Like, it's okay. My number can be worn again, even though it'll always be synonymous in most Giants fans' minds with Brandon Crawford.
Yeah. I mean, when you look to number 35, I mean, obviously me growing up, I didn't really think anything of it at the time because, Brandon Crawford, we didn't know that he would go on to be, the best starting shortstop in San Francisco Giants history, but 35 for me was always Rich Aurelia. Like that was my guy. True. I'm just like, dude, that's my dude. And like, even if you go back to the number 22, right before Will Clark, it was Jack Clark. There's a generation of Giants fans that only recognize it as Jack's number, not Will's, right? So I mean, numbers in baseball, numbers in sports is always interesting, but just to mention Will Clark and Barry Bonds, and I think Barry is in a different category of this, but Will Clark, right? You retired number 22, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. I do think that there is a chance for 35 to ultimately get retired. I don't know how long that's going to take or anything like that. Whether it should be or not, I mean, that's up for debate, right? But I do think that there is an opportunity, there is a chance for it to get retired. But the fact of the matter is, it's not retired right now, and we're going into 2025. And let me just say,
go ahead.
If
Justin Verlander wears 35 for a year, the Giants can still retire it down the road for Brandon Crawford. It doesn't matter.
Right. And if it's just 1 year, I mean, it's 1 year. Like, it's 1 year. It's not like he's on the team and he's like, Brandon, I'm taking your number, rip it off his back and puts it on. Like, that's not the situation at all. And let me just say, we both know this. Giants fans know this. One's a Hall of Famer. One isn't. One's in the Hall of, I mean, I don't even know if you could put him in the Hall of really, really good, but he was in the Hall of the best Giants shortstop.
Never was really in the running for an MVP. In the Giants Hall of Fame for sure.
Right.
It's interesting with the retired numbers. Like the Giants have recycled a lot of the championship contributors numbers, but they've never given out 55, if I'm not mistaken. So it's almost like in a weird, like almost like mythical way, the Giants are hanging on to 55. For a guy who I think objectively did not have a Hall of Fame career because he didn't really come close to the longevity you need.
Yep.
But who is also objectively an absolute Giants legend and a mythical figure in baseball in terms of how short his peak was, but how high his peak was.
Yeah, I mean, the day that someone dons a 55, whether they be a position player or if they're coming out the bullpen or if they're, whatever position they're in, that's going to be weird. That's going to be weirder than seeing a 35 on the mound. You know
Luckily,
what I mean? Because
55 is not a very common number.
No, it's not a common number. But then, like, you look at 18, right? And for me, like, Matt Cain was my guy, but eventually, like, that number is not going to get retired, right? I mean, you can't continue to retire numbers. No, but then when you look to number 18, like, I'm like, oh, dude, that's Matt Cain. Like, I'm going to put that on somebody.
Who's worn 18 besides Cain? Has that been given out?
I don't think that's been given out since he's retired. Yeah, I don't think he's.
So he retired in 17.
Yeah,
I swear did they give it to like Adrianza? Like who wore?
No, Adria.
He wore number 6.
Adrianza was he was a single digit number. I don't remember what number. No, I think it was he 2? No, I'm thinking of Emmanuel Burris. Emmanuel Burris was 2. I don't remember what Adrianza was. Yeah, but I don't believe, and here's the thing: if someone did get issued out number 18, like I don't remember it, and I probably didn't acknowledge them as a human being. Yeah. Like you know what I mean? Yeah, there's certain numbers that maybe was he? What number was he? Did you find it?
Cain was 18. Cain was also real ones. No, Cain was 43 before he was 18.
Oh yeah. When he first got called up, 43. What a weird number. You know what I mean? They just threw whatever they had. Murph just threw whatever he had in the that was clean.
Yeah, that was in the days of like hazing a guy when he came up. Like, we're gonna make you wear like a fullback number.
Yeah, dude, 43. What a bad beat.
Worn 18.
Yeah, let's see what the chat's saying.
According to this, it's a lot of guys have players who wore 18. Yeah, like
afterwards,
Kurt Casale.
Did Casale wear 18?
Connor Joe, Drew Smiley, Tommy LaStella.
Oh, Jesus.
Shelby Miller, Paul DeYoung, Darren Ruff, Kurt Casale, and Donovan Watson. So, yeah, they've recycled 18.
All right. Well, I clearly have erased that from my
right. No, but memory. That's what we're saying. Like, we don't think of those guys as 18.
No. Yeah, it's
always. They say, I remember Tommy LaStella wearing 18 during that 21 season.
Yeah, I remember. Well, actually, I don't really remember Tommy LaStella too much.
We're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Who's Ward number 22? Christian Arroyo. That's one. Keep that on your bingo card, guys. Yeah. Christian Arroyo. You guys remember Christian Arroyo? Jesus Christ.
Former classic Bobby Evans giant farmhand who was supposed to be an absolute star and never really panned out unless they got traded and then became like really good. Like shout out.
Oh Brian. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's 100% the case with Christian Arroyo. I don't think he's in baseball anymore. I think he's like
he was with the Red Sox for a while.
He was. I don't think he's on a roster anymore.
Yeah, I always think of him, Adam Duvall, and Brian Reynolds.
Yeah, for sure. Adam Duvall. How about that, dude? Duvall just leaves and starts hitting bombs like crazy. It wins an integral part in winning a World Series for Atlanta. That's incredible, man. Yeah, good for him. But yeah, we got 3, so it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. We're talking with Jack Loder here from KNBR. We're gonna wrap up here real quick because I don't want to keep you longer than I had told you. I remember I told Carlos Ramirez, you know Car Ram. I had him on here and I said, dude, we'll do 15 minutes. I kept him on for like 45 minutes. He was a good sport. We were talking balls.
I mean, yeah, we can get through our agenda. I'm good.
Yeah, so I actually pulled it up so that I don't get sidetracked here. Because I know you texted me like, hey, what are we going to talk about? And then I just kind of sent you something when I was driving. But let's look to the Giants this year, right? Do you think they're done? Like this is it, right? This is going to be their roster, their lineup going into 2025. Because if it is, where is the power going to come from? Like, do you see this kind of looking at Marco Luciano as being somebody that can bring power to the lineup, or is it someone else in the farm system? Like, where do the Giants generate that offense going into 2025? Where do you think?
Yeah, first of all, I think they're done, which is all right. Obviously, it's not an A+ off season, but I do think they're done. I think, given the circumstances, I think they did all right. And I think it's impossible not to look at this projected 2025 lineup, and it's impossible to look at this lineup and not be worried about where the power is going to come from. Because as you go down the line here, if every player who figures to be a home run style contributor does their job, then you'll have a decent power lineup. But it's kind of silly to think that everyone, especially as Giants fans, it's silly to think that everyone will live up to their power standard. I mean, we haven't had a 30 home run hitter since Barry Bonds in 2004, which is one of the most insane statistics in baseball. And also just won 3 championships during that drought. So it's like it's the weirdest thing. But every year, my buddies and I think, is this a year someone hits 30? Someone will get hot. I remember in the summer months when Ramos was red hot hitting balls out, we were like, hey, 30?
Yeah.
You know,
he was trending that way.
Chapman, 30 watch.
Yeah. Well,
Willie Adames, 30 watch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put Lamont Wade on 30 watch. We've seen enough of Lamont Wade.
Tyler lucky if he gets 10. Yeah.
Tyler Fitzgerald, cautious 30 watch, right? So, but this is all like very good case scenarios. This means that they have good home run production. They don't miss significant time with injury. But I think those 3 guys are like, I have very high hopes for power wise. Patrick Bailey, just the nature of the position he plays, I don't have huge home run hopes for. I hope he goes gap to gap. I hope he's a productive guy who, you're looking at his extra base, on base, his OPS in the middle of the season, and you're really satisfied. But I don't think he's going to leave the yard all that much. Jung-Hoo Lee's a power wild card. We've seen him hit the ball out of the yard. Yeah. I'm really excited to see how he comes back with that new shoulder of his and hits the ball out of the yard. So there are very intriguing parts of this 2025 lineup when it comes to power, but it's also hard to look at it and not kind of, especially as Giants fans, see a doomsday snowball scenario where you're sitting there in August and no one has 20 bombs.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how they can generate some offense, because there was a lot of times last year where it was just anemic offense, just droughts left and right. They couldn't put together anything cohesively, right? It was a lot of individual pieces. So you'd love to see them mesh a little bit more with being another year together, right? So we'll have to see how that goes into 2025. But a thing that you mentioned there, like talking about the power watch with all these, the 30 watch with all these guys, a lot of them, other than, I mean, Chapman and Adames, I mean, a lot of them are young guys, right? And this team is, I believe, in my opinion, I believe that they're a lot younger than they were a year ago, right? And they're going to rely on a lot of these guys to be productive. So whether it be, you know, Kyle Harrison, Hayden Birdsong, I don't know if you want to put Jordan Hicks as a young guy. I mean, he's young in the sense of learning to be a starting pitcher, but as far as experience, I mean, he's still younger, right? He's on the younger side of 30, I believe. So when you look to the younger guys, and this is mainly guys that got their opportunity and shined last year, right? So you're looking at Hayden Birdsong, you're looking at Tyler Fitzgerald, you're looking at Elliot Ramos, and I'll even take an answer of Bryce Eldridge because I do want to get your thoughts on that, even if it's not in this answer. But who do you have the most confidence in going into 2025 as far as the young guys?
Of the young guys, I'm going to go with the all-star, Elliot Ramos. I think it'd be kind of crazy to say that I'm also going to put him on 30 watch. I don't think I mentioned him. I'm going to put him on 30 watch too for bombs.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely has that capability.
You just got everybody hitting 30 bombs. That hasn't happened in
all these guys hit 30 bombs.
Hasn't happened in 20 years. Everyone's going to do it.
I'm not going to say we'll win the division because I don't think that's a possible feat, but we'll be really good.
Yeah.
Win 100 games. Elliot Ramos, I think he's the most talented of the group. 2, I think he's going to have the biggest target on his back when it comes to opposing pitching. Opposing pitching staffs and coaches, when they play the Giants, they're not getting surprised by Elliot Ramos like they were in 2024. This guy is going to be a bona fide middle of the order bat who's going to get advanced pitching books thrown at him. So I'm excited to see what Ramos does. Fitzgerald was a guy who got incredibly hot in that middle portion of the year and then kind of cooled off a little bit. But I'm also excited to see how he progresses defensively. I'm not all the way out on Luis Matos either. I think Matos has, you know, we saw the high end of his potential in the early part of the year in April and May when he was hitting bombs and hitting cracking doubles and getting NL Player of the Week honors. I think he has that in the tank, obviously not to sustain that, but to show it on a little bit more of a consistent basis. So I'm excited about Luis Matos. Lower on Marco Luciano, unfortunately. I just think he has gotten his confidence has to be down a little bit. He hasn't progressed nearly as much in terms of major league tools as Giants scouting directors and front office members would have liked. We saw him kind of just mentally drained in the field playing shortstop last year. Yeah. So I'm hoping he's worked on that. And I'm hoping I'm pleasantly surprised by Luciano. But for the first offseason in what feels like 4 or 5 years, I'm really tempering my expectations for Marco Luciano. Yeah. That's just kind of on the position player side of things. I'm a huge Kyle Harrison guy. When switching over to pitching, my friends will tell you I'm a massive Kyle Harrison guy. I've had my eye on him since the Giants drafted him in 2020. He was all but moved into the dorms at UCLA when they drafted him in that shortened season, gave him first-round money in the 3rd round, and plucked him away from John Savage in UCLA and brought him to the Giants as an 18-year-old. Yeah. I've had my eye on him since then. I was super stoked. I was at his home debut in 2023 where he struck out 11 Cincinnati Reds. Yep. And I think he has that stuff. I really do. And I mentioned earlier how he kind of fell off velocity-wise. I think this offseason, we heard him a couple weeks ago, joined Pop and Silver, talked about his offseason performance focuses and how he's really focused on getting the best out of his arm for 6 months, not just 3 or 4. And I think that's going to be huge for this Giants team. And then Hayden Birdsong honestly showed a bit of a higher ceiling than Kyle Harrison this year. Yeah. But it's a smaller sample size and a similar kind of problems toward the end. So I'm hoping Hayden Birdsong is the elite rookie that we saw him to be coming up this season. So that's my kind of young to put a bow on the young guys report heading into 2025. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positives to look to when you look to the young guys on this team in particular. But I am not as high. I haven't given up on Kyle Harrison, but I'm not as high on Kyle Harrison as you, just because of the drops in just because of the drops in the velocity and his inability. I really need to see that secondary pitch, man. I really need to see that be developed with him. Yeah, hopefully he's got that sweeper. The problem with it is kind of fastball reliant. And if he's throwing 89, 90 with the fastball, then there's almost no room to set up that like almost Bumgarner style sweeper right out here with the left side. So everything kind of goes back for Kyle Harrison. It almost goes back to strength conditioning, the kind of shape his arm is in to be able to throw 95 instead of 91.
Yeah, and I think that's also, Justin Verlander wasn't brought in specifically for this, but if he can get in the ear of one of the best pitchers of our generation, I mean, dude, just the sky's the limit for that, and maybe that can turn things around. Maybe he can figure something out as far as his longevity over 162 in keeping that velocity. He's still young. Like I said, I'm not giving up on him, but I am a little bit a tick higher on Hayden Birdsong at this point than Kyle Harrison. Just because I feel like Hayden Birdsong gets it. I feel like he understands it. He has the mentality of a big leaguer to where Kyle Harrison, not to say that he doesn't have the mentality, but it's taking him a little bit longer in this maturation process for the young lefty. But by no means is he anywhere done. I'm not giving up on him yet. Like there was a point last year where me and Holer, we were talking about Elliot Ramos. Oh, just ship him out, man. I'm done with him. And then look what he does. So again, I'm not going to give up on these young guys. You never know what can happen from season to season. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. Really quick, because Otis Bird chiming in here on the YouTube chat saying, "What's up, Otis?" He put out a lineup here, and I want to get your thoughts on that. I believe you can see it. But it's hitting leadoff, Jung-Hoo Lee. You got Lamont Wade Jr. in the 2-hole. Adames, Chapman, Ramos, Fitzgerald, Bailey, Yaz, and 9 at the DH. But how do you see that as being like an everyday lineup for the Giants in 2025? Where would you make changes?
I think it's a solid lineup. I think the glaring mishap in this lineup, I would take Wade out of the 2-hole, slide everybody up, and put him more like around the 7-hole. I want to see Jung-Hoo Lee and Willie Adames.
Or just not in the lineup at all. like put somebody else in there.
Him and Yaz, it's almost like there's just like such fatigue, right? It's Yaz even more so. Yaz, don't get me wrong, Yaz is a great Giant. Thanks for your services. I wouldn't be upset if I never saw Yaz take another bat for the Giants. I've just seen the act so many times where he has a great April, May, falls off. I don't want to just pile on Yaz, but I want to see Adames in that 2-hole and Chapman in that 3-hole. I want Jung-Hoo Lee, Willie Adames, and Matt Chapman as the first 3 hitters in the Giants lineup. Maximize the bats you get for Willie Adames. Then I like Ramos in the 4-hole. Maybe if Bailey is hitting for power, maybe put him in the 5 and Fitzgerald in the, or hit him in the 5 and Fitzgerald in the 6th. And then I like whoever the DH is, whoever that may be on any given day. I like this lineup. Aside from, I would take Wade away from 2 and put him more in the 7-8 range. Maybe Pete Alonso in the 5-hole if we're not all the way done. And you don't have any more Lamont Wade and Wilmer Flores.
Oh man, dude, I would love it if they went. And it's funny, I don't know if you saw it, but Lori Galvin chiming in. Is it possible for us to get Alonso? Highly unlikely, but I would love that to happen. I would love for that to happen so that, again, like you just mentioned, we don't have to deal with Lamont Wade Jr. and Flores doing the platoon bull crap that we've been so accustomed to for the San Francisco Giants. But, dude, really appreciate you stopping by, Jack. I do have just parting words for you because we've been talking about we started the conversation with the Hall of Fame and our guy, Buster Posey, number 28. He is now steering the ship for the San Francisco Giants. Looking like it's going, we have a map. We have a road map on this ship of the San Francisco Giants. So it's kind of a little bit more hopeful than the years with Farhan Zaidi. But besides that, looking at Buster Posey, looking at the Hall of Fame, do you believe in your heart, and I know that you are a diehard Giants fan, do you believe that Buster Posey is a Hall of Famer? Because when you look to the World Series championships outside of Bruce Bochy, there's not Buster would be the only one, right? He'd be the only one from making the Hall of Fame from that run. Hunter Pence goes on the ballot next year, but he's not going to get into the Hall. But where do you stand on Buster Posey before I let you go?
I think you said it, Posey Bochy and Posey are the only candidates. I just don't think you can tell the story of that era, which is a team winning 3 World Series in 5 years, without Buster Posey. And I want to get my bias out of the way. I'm obviously very biased as a huge Giants fan, a lifelong Giants fan, that I'm obviously a Buster Posey stan, if you will. But I don't think it's a crazy bias take to say that he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
One, I value winning at a super high level and winning championships, right? He did that 3 times. He's kind of the poster child for the debate of longevity in numbers versus peaks. And of course, it's a team sport. Not everyone has the opportunity to win World Series. You look at like Felix Hernandez, Ichiro as guys who never really had the opportunity to win in October. But for the guys who do and the guys who are huge reasons that their teams do, I think that cannot be taken away and it can't be like neutered, right? Like you can't say this is just regular season awards. This isn't the MVP. This isn't the Silver Slugger. This is the Hall of Fame of baseball. And the most important baseball is played in October. And Buster Posey shined in October. Yeah. And he falls a little short of the WAR threshold for position players, but the fact that he's a catcher helps him out. I think he's around a 45 career WAR, which doesn't really get in that 55 to 60 range, but catchers are generally a little bit lower. So that helps him out. He was an incredible hitter. He has the MVP. He has the Rookie of the Year. He has the 3 World Series titles, and he has the title of anchoring some of the best pitching staffs in baseball of that era. So I think if you ask, like going back to the litmus test of asking players who played against and with him who should be in the Hall of Fame, if you gave them all truth serum, I think 90+% would say, Buster Posey, as a statesman of the game, as a competitor, as just a professional hitter, absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's a biased take to say that Buster Posey, when he goes on the ballot, which I believe is next year, right?
I believe it's 2 years, right? Because his last year was 2021.
His last year was 21. So
so it would start from 2022. Right. So that would get him 27. Yeah.
Maybe not first ballot, fine, but Buster Posey, I think, will get voted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man, to see. Obviously, Boch, he's gonna get in when it's all said and done. But to have someone that was on the field when the final out was called, and he was there for all 3 of them. I mean, he was the constant, right? And you had the pitchers there with Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain and Madison Bumgarner, but the constant was always Buster Posey. You feel like that had some type of gravitas for him being the backstop and kind of manning that dynastic run for the San Francisco Giants. But Jack, dude, I appreciate you. I know I told you 2025, but look at us. We did 50. We did 50, dude. I told you it was gonna be easy. I told you it was gonna be easy. We're just gonna have a baseball conversation, bro. It's a lot of easy stuff.
That's what I love doing.
Yeah. This is what we do on a daily basis. So Jack, appreciate you for stopping by, man. This won't be the last time. This is the first time. Won't be the last time. I'll definitely have you on whenever you're down, whenever you're available in the evenings. But dude, go ahead and get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning. And if you want to make a clip or 2 for Passion for the Pastime, go ahead and feel free.
I will. I definitely will. Thanks, Walt.
All right, bro. I'll see you later. That is Jack Loder from KNBR Digital. He is a great dude. Great baseball conversation, man. Like I said, you guys can't get into the bullpen and see what we're doing and hear what we're talking about. And if we were able to actually like have that audio out there, dude, it's a hell of a conversation that we have in the bullpens to the riffs and just the topics that we discuss, like the sports topics, and Jack is in the middle of all that. And I didn't even ask him about losing the bet to Derek. It was so funny because I was like, dude, you haven't been talking for a week. You want to come on the podcast? And then he ended up getting sick, so it got a little bit delayed. But he lost the bet to Derek. I'm sure you guys had heard about it if you're KNBR diehards. But Derek and Jack bet the Texas Arizona State, because he went to Arizona State, and Jack lost, and he couldn't talk in the office for a week. And it was when I was out of the office, so I missed 2 of those days. When I came back, and he just wasn't talking, he was just silent, and it was so depressing. It was so, man, because he's one of those guys. I mean, you see him there and how he knows ball, and baseball isn't his only thing. Like he comes in with hot takes. Hence the reason why Derek was like, dude, you need to shut up for a week if we're gonna make this bet. And he ended up losing, and he was silent for a week. It was probably the most depressed that he'd been at work since he's been working there. But Jack, a really cool dude, and a lot of the stuff that you see on KNBR socials, it's him, it's Michael Connell, it's Austin Scott, and you name it. Those guys do a great job for KNBR 100%. And like I said, talk great ball, have good baseball conversations. So this won't be the first. This is the first time. It won't be the last time that Jack stops by the podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed that baseball conversation. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to pitchers and catchers. I believe starting tomorrow, right? If I remember correctly, starting tomorrow, I think we are 3 weeks away. Let me go ahead and pull up my calendar. I know it's on the 12th, and I'm not good at math, but tomorrow is the 22nd. So I would believe that would land out to be 3 weeks from tomorrow is when pitchers and catchers report. Let's see. So from tomorrow, that's 1, that is 2, that is 3 weeks from tomorrow. Pitchers and catchers report for the San Francisco Giants, and that is that can't come any sooner, man. I mean, once the Hall of Fame voting kind of goes out and all this Roki Sasaki sweepstakes kind of went down and everything like that. I mean, there's a couple of other guys that are still out there. Anthony Santander signed yesterday. We talked about it a little bit with the Blue Jays. Alex Bregman, I still believe that he's out there unless that has happened since we were having that conversation. But Alex Bregman's still out there. There's still, believe Kirby Yates is still out there. I know that there was a report earlier. I don't know if that ever went down with, you guessed it, the Dodgers trying to get Kirby Yates. They're just pissing me off, man. I didn't even get into it with Jack Loder when we were talking about it earlier. When I asked him to come onto the pod, he was like, "Can I rip the Dodgers?" I was like, "Dude, of course. That's what we do." So maybe we'll save that for a little bit later down the line for as we get closer to the season. We start talking about the divisions. We'll do that as we get closer to the start of opening day, which is. I believe opening day. Damn, I'm disappointed that I don't have opening day ingrained into my brain. I want to say it's the 27th of March. I believe that's the 27th when baseball kicks off. I have to go look at the schedule. I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, we'll do that counting up to opening day. But you guys, I think this was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a fun time listening in to the podcast. I didn't see Rockin' New Era. Where's my guy Rockin'? Didn't see Rockin' in here. I saw Tacky in here. Thank you for stopping by, Tacky. I'm sure Tacky already left because his dinner came. Yep, there it is. 6:46, like clockwork for Tacky. But thank you guys. Thank all of you guys for stopping by and catching that baseball conversation with me and Jack Loder of KNBR. Otis, 415 West, Lori, Galvin, Mike, Val chimed in here towards the end of the podcast. So I appreciate you stopping by, man. Who else was in here? Pat H. I saw Pat H in here a little bit earlier. I didn't see Rockin' New Era. Did Rockin' New Era pop in at any point? Hopefully he's good. I think he's still mad at me. I think he's still mad at me that I didn't show up on Sunday. But I saw AJ in here. Don't see AJ at the moment. There he is. There's AJ. AJ watching in the shadows. Just watching and listening in the shadows. As we love it. Is AJ Cruz. The Cruz line. Didn't get a phone call today, but we'll definitely get into that tomorrow. We'll talk more about the Hall of Fame if you guys want to get into it. Let's see here. Mike Val chimed in on the Hall of Fame stuff really quick. Anyone see a future Hall of Famer not named Justin Verlander on the 2025 roster? If we were going to make believe one Giant could be, who would that be today? Shit. Logan Webb. Like, I don't know, man. That's a crazy question. I don't think that, I mean, not every team, not every roster has a Hall of Famer. But that does beg the question because we were talking about Ichiro not getting the unanimous Hall of Fame. And then we were talking about the best international players to have ever played the game of baseball. And I mentioned Shohei Ohtani, right? And he's going to be in that conversation. If not, he already is in that conversation of being the best foreign-born player to ever play in Major League Baseball. There is, obviously he still has a long career ahead of him, so things can change. He can flame out rapidly. I don't see that happening, but I'm just saying, things can change to kind of change, fix our thinking on that. But I do think that Shohei Ohtani will be the best international born player. But then that's the question where, I mean, you're looking at these unanimous guys, and Ichiro, I thought was a shoo-in, right? I thought that was a shoo-in. Again, I don't understand. It was funny when Derek Jeter didn't get it, but also Jeter was kind of that guy that I thought was going to get a unanimous, but he didn't. and he missed out the same way that Ichiro did. But I thought that Ichiro was a shoo-in, man, for him to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Again, he's in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't, I don't know if you get in unanimously, if they put that on your plaque. Maybe they did with Mariano Rivera, but it doesn't change anything, right? It doesn't change. It doesn't give you a different patch on your jacket or anything like that. But is Shohei Ohtani, because we were talking about Justin Verlander, and logically you would think he's a unanimous Hall of Famer. I feel like he would get in. How could you not have him in there? 3 Cy Young Award winner, a Triple Crown for pitching award winner, MVP, multiple World Series, ALCS MVP. I mean, you name it, man. He's going to most likely get to 300 wins. I don't know where he's at Ks wise, but regardless, the resume for Justin Verlander screams for him to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. But if it isn't, because for some reason it probably will shape out that way, that he doesn't get in unanimously. Strikeouts for his career. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. Trying to multitask here. Strikeouts for his career. Oh yeah, he's well over 3,000. he's pushing shit. He can get to 4,000 if he really tried. No, maybe not. 3,400 currently for Justin Verlander. But if it's not Justin Verlander as being a unanimous guy, then the question is, okay, well, who the hell else is going to get in? Because Mariano got it, and it's kind of ironic that the best closer in Major League Baseball of our generation and of all time, and it's a position that historically was never voted in to the Hall of Fame, and he was unanimous. It's just crazy. But then if it's not Justin Verlander, and let's just say that Shohei Ohtani continues on this trajectory and he's able to be, the force on the mound and the force in the box, and he continues to do, his 50-50 or whatever, and be the creator, the founder, the lone member of the 50-50 club, would he be the next and quite possibly the final unanimous Hall of Famer to get in? We can continue that conversation at a later date and obviously revisit this when we're doing Passion for the Pastime in 2035, right? But it's an interesting question, because if it's not Ichiro and if it doesn't end up being Justin Verlander, then who the hell, what the hell else do you have to do to be a unanimous vote for the Hall of Fame? And I would think that what that thing is to play both sides of the ball, is to pitch and hit and steal bases and hit home runs and get 2,000 strikeouts. I don't know if Shohei can get to that, but I'm just saying, like, if he has that type of resume, I would find it very hard to believe that he wouldn't get in Hall of Fame. Again, if he continues on this trajectory. Injuries can happen. You're not wishing for injuries, but injury can derail Hall of Fame careers. Just like, I mean, it didn't derail Ken Griffey Jr. from getting into the Hall, but I think it definitely derailed him from potentially getting to Hank Aaron level, Barry Bonds level, as far as the home run numbers, because injuries towards the end of his career just kind of messed him up. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I know I always say bye and I always let it linger for a little bit. It takes me forever. To get to say goodbye to you guys, just because I have such a fun time talking to you guys. And I talk too damn much. But you guys have a good one. Let's go into the chat one more time as I wrap up here. 4K. Okay, now. Yeah, I think that's what Justin Verlander might be put 600 strikeouts in the next 5 years. It's possible. Well, not maybe 5 years. Maybe, how old is he? He's turning 42. The next 3 seasons, 600. Nah, it's kind of like, that's 200. It's 200 a pop. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get that. But all right, guys, you guys have a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Tomorrow we'll be speaking with Eric Engel of the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll be talking some Giants baseball on that tomorrow, and just baseball in general. I'll get his thoughts on the Hall of Fame and how everyone's screwed, Ichiro for not getting in unanimously. Get out of here, Walter. Yeah. Now Pat H is just kicking me out of the chat. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna listen to you, Pat H. I'm gonna get on out of here. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Eric Engel at, I believe, 6:15. We'll figure out what time he comes on the podcast tomorrow, but we'll be back at it again 6 o'clock. You guys know what time it is. You know what time we start. We'll be here, and I'll see you then. See you tomorrow. We'll talk some more Giants baseball and baseball in general, because passion for the pastime is where the pastime lives on 24/7, 365. You guys have a good one. Be safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.